Hey everyone, I hope you're taking it easy and your day has been great thus far. For this video we'll be going through a bit of a higher level unboxing and a singular blind box unboxing from the Blokees Shining version line with the first release of 01 Shining Rollout. And as I mentioned, this is from Blokees and this is part of their Shining version line, not to be mistaken with their Defender and Galaxy version lines, on top of the Classic Class line in action. So now that I'm moving into some of the other Blokees Transformer content, just because the Classic Class line is just pretty much at a point where it's now pending the two new releases for Sentinel Prime and Blitzwing, and on top of that Bumblebee and Optimus from Transformers Bumblebee in terms of the movie. I thought I'd try and go through some of these other series collections. Starting with the Shining version, just because I'm used to the Shining gimmick. So this is the first of, at this point in time, 4 releases, so there's 3 more sets after this. So I thought, best time to start now. So here we have Shining Rollout 1. Even though they're blind boxes, I think you do have a good idea of what to expect. So there will be Cliffjumper, Ratchet, Jazz, Optimus Prime, Megatron, and Acid Storm, I believe. So pretty much a very G1-centric lineup, even though Acid Storm didn't really get any notoriety until well and truly after the original G1 cartoon. So this is pretty much an unopened box, as you can see here. That seal is still intact, so that's the, I dare say, the top. Just pretty much the front of the box with a rundown of the characters and some of the statistics of the what do you call it, the ratios by which they're included. There will be a secret version of a Megatron that is possibly available as opposed to the other Megatron. Am I going to get this particular Megatron? Probably not, but in this box that is. But hey, you know, we'll see. So that's that. Blokees, 40 years. So it's pretty much your standard box for your blind box type of, the word eludes me. I wasn't going to say distribution. Anyway, besides the point. So, now that we've had a quick look at the actual larger box, I'm going to break the seal. And with that now having been done, obviously what will happen is, inside the box, they're all perfectly still sealed, and they're even sealed in plastic. And there will be these little wonderful things, so definitely very much sealed in plastic. In fact, so as I said, they're all still perfectly sealed in mint wrapping. So for the purpose of this video, we'll take out this one. The rest I will do unboxings for. I haven't decided how I'm going to do them yet, whether I'm going to do them individually as shorts or short long form, who knows. So this was one of those 3 out of the packaging, so as I said, still in its mint packaging. So the front of that particular blind box, on the side, so you get to see all the potential characters included, and obviously the ratio for the quote-unquote secret version of Megatron, back of the blind box, and on the other side. So just a bit of a rough idea of some of the gimmick that will be included. And apparently some will have some glowing effect parts. I think, maybe in particular for Acid Storm, I think there might have been a version that was glowing. So that's pretty much the box side of things done. So that's the actual individual boxes that is pretty much in that larger box. So with that having been done, I'm going to pretty much open up the box, and then I guess I will tear open the actual, I think it's an actual loose bag, to see who was actually included. Okay, with everything out of the box, which did take a little while, so for anyone who was ever curious, unlike some other boxes, it's pretty much very well glued tightly. So yes, they've definitely tried to make it difficult for anyone to try and crack these open if they were on a counter within direct grab your hands. So that's pretty much the box teared open. So what was actually included? So we do have these 2 bags. Now this bag, I am fairly certain, is just pretty much the actual little action stand that everything tends to stand on. This will obviously be the main event. Can I tell who's in there? Not really. Outside of that, we do get this wonderful little booklet regarding battery changes. So that's pretty much been a wonderful ongoing legacy from the classic class. And then, more importantly, the little instruction booklet. So, even though it's a blind box, do not be fooled. You will get instructions for pretty much everyone. It is. Or is this actually going to be Optimus? Who knows? Because it's very Optimus-centric. So, unless it's just a really good example, because everything shares a very common build design. We'll see. So you've got, obviously, building the joints, body, crotch, arms, hands, legs, main torso, head, weapon, cliff, jumper, and ratchet. As we know, we'll have some extra inclusions there, so it looks like some things are going to be pretty much stock standard and assume some proficiency in building. Jazz will have some extra components there for his back armor and his legs. Megatron, particularly the secret version, and then Acid Storm as well. So there will be some variations. So I'm going to assume, despite Optimus being very prominent here, it's just been very generic. So that was that. Now, I guess partial wide build. Now, given that is green and purple, I'm going to assume it is probably Acid Storm. It's going to be one of those little things in there to obviously keep out moisture. Please do not eat that. So we've got the hands, this particular joint system from the early classic classes. A very nice purple looking stand, manipulators. So if I was to tear this open, this will obviously be none other than a jumble of parts for Acid Storm. In fact, you get like a little Acid Storm little collector card type thing here. Kind of reminds me of the days of, was it Pogo? Pog? Either. So there's a nice little memento of Acid Storm with a little QR code on the back. So there's that. And then obviously all these tidbits for Acid Storm. Now, some of these are going to look a little bit familiar. In fact, that's very cool. That appears to be a nice little Energon cube. I'm pretty sure it's going to be relatively intuitive to put together. The hands here and all of that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to do this as a time lapse. But I'll cut out everything from these so everything's ready to go. And yeah, pretty much treat him as if he was just a giant Lego set. So yeah, come back in a few minutes and we'll have a quick look at the completed Acid Storm after I have fun playing some Lego. Okay, and with Acid Storm now complete, so yes, the build instructions are meant to be generic, so I think this being the very first one, I was probably just, I wouldn't say unsure per se, but obviously it was new to me, so trying to get my bearings on how to do everything. So despite being Optimus Prime, the build will probably be, you know, pretty much consistent across the board, just bearing in mind trying to keep certain things in alignment, especially when putting the breastplate together. I did have a little misalignment there with Acid Storm, putting on the shoulder armor, heads, and things like that. And you can expect to hear a lot of clicking sounds if you've done things correctly. So overall, not too bad. We do have the extra open hand manipulators, one of these little extra light pipings, which isn't too unusual. These little Decepticon and Autobot logos, which to this day I have no idea what they're actually for. They used to be in the first few Classic Class releases, and then yeah, don't know what happened after. And then I suspect this is supposed to be a Energon Cube. Very cool that you get it. I don't know where you're going to put it, but it is there. Now, as for Acid Storm, so he does stand very nicely in a bit of a neutral static pose on his base, now that they've pretty much redeveloped them to actually stand a lot nicer. Granted, being an individual figure, these are probably potentially custom made for the Shining version. But that is very much Acid Storm front and center, very much staying on his base quite nicely. Even according to a light wiggle test, he's okay. So that's pretty much the front, side profile, back profile, the other side, and a quick close-up. Maybe. Possibly. Anyway. I think his light is also turned on, so it's obviously not going to look very good because I'm one, constantly banging the camera, and two, there are some lights on right now. So the light does come through his main chest cavity, as well as his actual two eyes, which will come through as a bit of red light. At some point in time, I'll probably do them on Instagram. When I take some pictures, I'll do it with some low light conditions. So that's pretty much Acid Storm there. Now let's take him off his base. So what is this little guy capable of? Well, I mean, first of all, for this particular scale and build, this actually looks really cool. Do I have a... No, I do not have an actual Classic Class nearby me. Starscream would have been a good example, but anyway, so that's pretty much what it would look like all done. In terms of actual articulation, so the head will be able to do some articulation. Just bear in mind, despite being on a ball socket, his little back pieces here will get in the way of trying to spin his head around, but once you get some motion, you can obviously spin it around accordingly. So obviously a good thing. In terms of his arms, so they can go out like that, go out to the front and spin around so much before they hit his back because of his wings. This section up here is a little bit posable as well. So you can have some slight detachment off the upper arm for the weapons. Now I believe these are also on ball sockets, so you can also spin them around ever so slightly, but do so with a bit of caution, just because the joint is a little bit stiff and I've probably unaligned it, but that's okay. In terms of the elbow, so it can go so far that way, nothing on the back, but we'll also have a bit of a swivel there as well. And as for the wrist as well, the wrist can pretty much swivel around in the joint as well. And you do have a little bit of up and down movement with the upper arms as well. So upper body isn't too bad. You can do a nice full 360 there. I'm assuming I have the waist in the right direction. There will be no crunching of the thighs, however. Well, ab crunch, sorry. In terms of the legs, they can go all the way out, which is very nice. And pretty much that much front, that much back, just because it will start combining or hitting the actual waist. There will be a full spin there at the top of the knee joint, and then standard 90 degree. So very nice. And then the feet will be able to do a full 360 because they are in a ball socket as well. So overall, for a little guy, he actually has a decent amount of articulation. So you could probably get him into some nice poses, obviously bearing in mind just make sure you spin him back into his actual proper proportions. And this is just going to be me trying to put him into some type of very static, well, somewhat actiony pose. I'll try to, and there we go. Could probably go a bit higher with his weapon. So definitely not too bad. So you do have a little playability with the guy, but obviously the main point is to put him together like a little model kit. Now, one thing I didn't do, which I usually would, anything that I would typically cut off runners, so the joint pieces in the hands, I just usually would clean up just where some of the nub marks would be. You can probably see the one on the top of the hand. I didn't do it with this one because I wasn't too sure. So I think next time I'll do that. If I do a like time-lapse build, I'll just make sure I do that. The rest of the pieces, because they were loose, or to be honest, probably have some little nub marks there as well. So maybe I'll just leave everything as is. Since the intent is to obviously be a very quick model build as opposed to a actual full-on build. So how about we put you back on your base? So just a quick look at the base. So in terms of the standard shape, it is the standard shape. In fact, because you're only getting the single base, it's not that they've redone the base, it's just that I'm used to using these two across two bases, whereas now being a single base, bottom of the feet will peg in quite nicely. In fact, how about we do that nice little iconic type of pose. There we go. Very nice. So that is Acid Storm, with a bit of rundown of articulation and everything that is capable. So obviously that articulation will probably be evident in all of these little models, so I'll still go through them as time goes on. How I intend to do the remaining 5, time will tell. Maybe not as short, because it did take a little while to put them together. So time, as I said, time will tell, but he was a lot of fun. And he does look super cool. Now I'm going to be stuck wanting the entire Seekers, as best as possible, in the Shining version line. Some things never change from G1. It's a shame I can't actually like tilt you up that way, but oh well. So there we have it. Pretty much the actual end of the unboxing of a one of the blind boxes from 01 Shining rollout for the Shining version release line from Blokees for Transformers. As I said, a lot of fun to put together. First one is always hard to tell how things are going because it is a bit of a brand new territory, but yeah, I quite liked building him. It was actually nice not to be building an Optimus or Megatron straight off the bat. So I will admit I quite like Acid Storm, and I do hope the other Seekers do make themselves known throughout the line. I will leave it there, so thank you very much for watching this unboxing. Bit of a live build, well, time-lapse build, more to the point, and also a bit of a review of one of these actual built kits. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the content. This does help support the channel and I do appreciate it. Extra content can be found on my Instagram in the community tab, so definitely check out some of the pictures of Acid Storm when the time comes, especially trying to get a few with diminished light so I can actually show off some of the LED in action. With that being said, stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you for the next video. This guy, probably not as much, but hey, who knows? Maybe we'll come back around again. Until the next time, see ya.